about the nonsense of coal burning. I'm doing marketing for the Long Branch Environmental Education Center, Paul Gallimore, and he's got a woman up there. She's got a master's in biology. She works at Hayward, and she's saying this whole thing about coal being clean. That is the biggest baloney hype. There's no such thing as clean coal. So that's what I heard. Power plant for electricity?
Well, supposedly it's for peak use. That's how they're trying to sneak it by.
Well, you know, it all starts as peak use, and when peak becomes needed, then it's not peak.
Of course, right.
And who decides if it's needed or not?
Right. The power company.
Well, you know, I've had discussions with pharmaceutical companies, and you know, obviously the big thing is you fight the big farmers, you fight the Walmart. You know, I receive checks. I got my checks today for a couple of $1,000 from my work from Clear Channel, and they're called the Walmart of broadcasting. You know, and I in my old age, I'm looking at situations and saying, you know, what is the root cause of a situation, and do we fight it by fighting another power plant or a trade deal with Mexico or whatever, or do we look at the overall essence of what's happening? And what's happening is really simple. We're making too many babies. We have too many people on the planet. A. B. People tend to congest where it's cool, in the sense of K-E-W-L, you know? And these places get taken up real quick, such as the Asheville area and on. And Woodfin, we're not only talking about a power plant in Woodfin, we're talking about major development of all kinds happening. We're talking about industrial, we're talking about commercial, we're talking about residential development. And it goes out, it's going to be in Weaverville, and it continues. And what do we do about it? We talked about that on my show. It was one of the questions somebody emailed, saying, this was the question that Bobby from West Asheville, they don't give last names on the, we don't do on the radio show. Bobby said this, he said, there's an obvious influx of people that have been coming to Asheville for the past decade or 2 decades already. However, the reality, if you check it out, in spurts, it's been happening for a couple of 100, 300 years. First, they came by walking, and then horses, and however they get up the mountain. I don't even know how to get up there. They couldn't get up there with wagons. They had, mules or something, because those are tough mountains. But anyway, so that's been happening for a long time, and now the issue is what kind of people are coming. Now, I address myself because I had a show on WSKY. I've been supportive of Earthfare and all this kind of consciousness. It trickled with the artsy community, the gay community, the open kind of liberal community out there. There's different flavors to it, but that general flavor tends to be in Asheville kinds of areas. Lately, we find that many of the mountain areas are getting more and more because the people just can't handle the cities anymore. Whether it's the end times or 2012 doesn't matter. The fact is, right now, in 2007, you don't want anyone to walk the streets of Philadelphia or New York City. So, let's go to the mountains. Here, prices go up because they're willing to pay whatever the hell. Hell, they're paying $2,000 and $3,000 for a 1-bedroom apartment in New York, and they can come here and they get the same for $700 or $800. So they're going to come in, they're going to pay $700. The guys, well, if I get $700, $800, let's make it 8, let me make it 9, let's make it 12. And what's happening is, and I saw this happen in Philadelphia when I lived there, on South Street. Where do all the hippies go? So it's kind of like the Greenwich Village Street. And what it had been a rundown street. You get this in Rochester, in Schenectady, New York. And we're starting to see it happening in pockets here, like on Lexington Avenue. But how does this address the Woodfin problem? All right. I don't say, what can we say? Do we want to have a brownout? Do we want to have a power out? Will it happen? Or is it pork barreling and political? I don't know enough about the issue. Usually it involves a little of all of it. Some science in which somebody was paid big bucks. And usually they're not necessarily the Picos or the Duke of Power, because in many cases they subcontract everything as well. Most companies, outsource everything they can. And people do that, and there's some substance into it, so I really can't answer it. I don't want to see more sprawl. I just look right out here, and I look at Town Mountain, and I see things such as the lack of people thinking that they're giving up their freedoms if they paint their house the color that goes along with nature. rather than some Mexican orange, green, and pink or yellow. I'm not against the Mexicans. Bright colors are nice in Tijuana, but I don't think we should make these houses up here. So what do I say? I say we should continue to support AIDS, not AIDS research, but continue to support getting AIDS.
Population control.
Yeah, population control, you know. I'm not necessarily in favor of Iraqi war, but I like to see some wars in some of the states of America, like New York, Brooklyn, Philadelphia, Detroit, Asheville, and you know, and it's all about money and people are doing it. Until we can change the paradigm and the way we view our world, then we're going to continue having it. So, how many people are here? What do we do about the sprawl? What kind of people? How do we get them? Unfortunately, I was the guy responsible for CBS News coming here and doing the story. I prefer not now. So when people ask me, like in Florida, and they don't seem like they got their balls together, I say, man, you don't want to be here, man. My car was just stolen. They rip you off. There's crack addicts all over the place, disease. We got people here wearing masks. They can't breathe anymore because of the stuff coming down from the Ohio Valley. It's all true stuff, by the way. But there was a time I could leave my keys down on Lexington Avenue in my car and my wallet. My car was stolen right from here. 3 cars right from the front. Stole my car.
Well, don't you think we're going through a similar thing in Aspen like in the 70s?
Every society goes through it, and the thing is, we have a limited area in Asheville. We have a limited area in Boulder, usually, and there's a problem with that. It's one thing if Detroit, cities go down, but here, I don't know what to say.
Well, actually, it's an advantage. I think we're rimmed in by national forests. We can't build anything.
We can't build, but who's going to live here? I mean, I don't want to live in a... I lived in Chattanooga for 2 years longer than I ever should have. It was 2 years.
2 years.
And, you know, it's an antiseptic community. It's a clean community. You don't find any cigarettes on the ground and all. And you don't find any life. It's a lifeless town. Yet with all these Civil War soldiers here still hanging around the cemeteries not knowing they can get out of there. But I don't want to see Asheville become antiseptic, you know. And I want to see pot smoking on the streets. I want to see the artists. I want to see... I'd like to see an American Idol street artist, though. I hate artists that suck. You know, if you're going to be a street artist, be good, right? You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to give you a rotten apple in your bed. I don't believe in kissing the tuchus of anybody. I believe that we should... you know, that's how I feel. Anyway, I got to run. I love you very much. And,
that was fun.
And anyway, so... See a picture called Talking Tall. I'm in it.
Talking Tall?
Yeah, it's a film. It's about, I don't know, I'm showing the actual feature. Bless your heart. Listen to the show next week. Judith.